Q&A, questions and answers. Let's answer some of your questions today. Yeah, let's get into the video. How you guys doing? It's been a while. I haven't filmed a video for over 2 months. Oh no, it's been over 3 months since I've filmed a video. Anyways, that's besides the point. But basically this video was actually meant to be due when I hit 500 subscribers, and now I have over 900. By the time this publishes, it will definitely be way closer to 1,000. So yeah, I just wanted to put this out there. So thank you guys so much for the support that you have shown me so far in my YouTube journey. Yeah, let's answer some of your questions. The questions will range from like personal questions to advice questions for people asking for advice, and also just general stuff that you guys want to know about me. I'll be answering about 20. So yeah, let's get into it. First question. How do you balance study with the other things that you do? Okay, so here's the interesting thing, right? So first year, I actually, besides doing YouTube, gym, and university stuff, I actually didn't do much else. But even with that said, I actually had no balance whatsoever in terms of studies with other stuff, because I actually always prioritized my other stuff over uni. Of course, that's a bad thing. Don't copy me on that, but like, that's just a fact. That's what I did. Because, I mean, for first semester, I actually took it more seriously than I did for second semester. First semester, I went to about 50% of my lectures. And for both sets of exams, I only started revising properly the week before the exam started. So I didn't do this like, oh, consistent revision every day after lectures. I would go to the library for 2 hours. I'm not that type of person. But yeah, this year, because I know uni is going to be so much harder, I will have to find a balance, and trying to incorporate uni work as more a part of my lifestyle as opposed to just something I cram the week before my exams, because I know that's not going to work this year. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe, because I will be sharing my tips on how I get uni life incorporated into my lifestyle and not make it into like a hassle or whatever. I do have plans for that, like very specific actions that I will be taking, and if you guys want to find out if that works for me, because it will work for you if it worked for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, okay? Next question. What do you do when you feel like you can't carry on anymore or feel really unmotivated? Okay, so here's the thing about that. I kind of just have a conversation with myself in my head. I'm just like, yo, look, if my goal is to retire my parents on like multiple 6 figures or 6 figures, and like do all this cool stuff for myself as well, like, does the tiredness right now, for example, matter? Like, should I really allow myself to feel tired right now? Or, because when it comes down to it, a lack of motivation in the moment is literally just like telling yourself, oh, okay, I can't be bothered for this anymore. But then when I think about like my actual goal of being a multi-millionaire, or like retiring at the age of 30 and stuff like that, I just think, okay, well, I mean, waking up is not as hard, right? So let me just put in the action now, so I don't have to look back on my life 20 years down the line and be like, yo, I wasted my time in my 20s, right? So yeah, that's how I stay motivated. Next question. What is your biggest regret and how have you learned to accept it? Dude, that's a pretty deep question, and I'm only 19, so I actually don't think I have many regrets. The only thing I can think of is not starting sooner. That would be my biggest regret in terms of like starting sooner in terms of like fitness, health, and personal development. I really wish at like the age of 13 I had the same mindset as I did now. I do now, and really started earlier. But like, I mean, it's never really too late to start. So how I have come to accept it is just like, dude, I can't rewrite history, and I really wasn't brought up in an environment that really pushed for that. So it's just like, it is what it is. Yeah, so it's better to get started now than tomorrow, right? So yeah, that's why. Next question. Are you afraid of dying? You guys ask some pretty weird questions, I can't lie. But I think everyone's afraid of dying. Of course I'm afraid of dying. yeah, I don't really know how else to explain that. Next question. How much maintenance do you recommend to take for someone living at home? Okay, so the thing with maintenance loan for me, I don't really care how much debt I get into at the moment because I know I'll be able to pay it back really quickly. So it's just like, I'd recommend taking out the maximum that you're allowed to take out, because the reason that they give maximum is because it's like there's actual reasons for that. It's like about your household income, so they expect your parents to top up the rest if you get a really low maximum limit. So yeah, I recommend taking out the max. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, good question. Next one. What martial arts do you think is the most useful and athletically challenging? Okay, so in terms of usefulness, there's actually two things. So one would be like the mental discipline and the mental side that comes along with martial arts. Because a lot of the top 500, Forbes top 500 or something, a lot of them are either military background or have some sort of martial arts experience. So in terms of like mental toughness, I think any martial art is really good for that. And I highly recommend you guys get into one if you don't already. In terms of the physical aspects, so like your conditioning and the actual usefulness in a real life fighting situation, in my opinion, the most useful ones would be like something like boxing, Muay Thai, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Just because those are like the most fundamentals of fighting. So yeah, but in terms of like athletically challenging, I'd say any sport, combat sport, would be athletically challenging, right? I mean, the purest form of sports is fighting. Personally, I do Muay Thai and I want to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So yeah, if you want to have a conversation about that, hit my DMs up down in the description below at bzbroke. So yeah, next question. Where do you think you'll be in 5 years' time? Okay, now in 5 years' time, I'll be like, if it's this exact same time of year now in 5 years' time, I'd be almost turning 25. And by that point, I would have finished my degree for about 3 or 4 years, I think. 3 or 4 years, 3.5 probably. And I'd be really like probably secure in terms of what I want to do with my career, but also like have a few streams of passive income. And by that point, I'm pretty sure I would have retired my parents on 6 figures, if not at least really close to 6 figures. Yeah, so I think that's where I will be in 5 years' time. And I'd be living comfortably by myself, maybe in a relationship, maybe not, I'm not sure. But definitely my circle of friends would be very tight, and it would be like very fixed almost as well. So yeah. Next question. Where do you think you'll be in 10 years' time? Okay, 10 years' time, I'll be almost turning 30. Damn, that's like just over a decade away, man. Holy crap. 30 doesn't seem so far away now, right? But yeah, so by the age of 30, my goal is to actually be a multi-millionaire, retire my parents on multiple 6 figures. I ideally would have like properties all over the world, but recently I actually attended a property event and this kind of changed my perspective about like ownership of property. But yeah, probably properties around the world, and also I'd have many stable streams of income, and I would turn my focus onto developing like my little brother, and hopefully bring my cousins from China to here or something along those lines. And I would actually be looking to start building my end goal. My end goal is like creating a school in Asia where I teach kids, not me personally, but like I have people to teach kids about like how to start their own business, essentially just how to make money in the world. And the top 5 performing students of that school I'll adopt them for a few years until they turn 18. So probably about like between the ages of 15 to 18, and then I'll just teach them how to build business in the West because better opportunities and stuff like that. And then yeah, and then I'll have equity in their businesses, and it's like, whoa, right? How sick would that be to change their lives like that? So yeah, that's where I think I will be in 10 years' time. Next question. Do you have any post-university career aspirations, and if so, what are they? Now, okay, so here's the thing with that. I actually don't know what industry I want to get into, so that's why I'm so open to explore right now. But right now, I'm really liking the idea of like the influencer marketing industry or whatever, or like just influencer in general. Because here's the thing, like, I actually don't like the attention that much. I like it, but not to the extent of some other people. But it's just like a lot of the so-called like influencers, in my opinion, that a lot of them are trash, and I would really like to change that. So yeah, right now I'm trying to build up my social media brand, but also I think if I just build this up and it's somewhat successful, it will help me in any career, any industry, because it's just like, okay, cool. If you want to get to know me about how I actually am, here's my YouTube channel, and you'll see how many people I've actually helped over the years. And it's like, of course you want someone like that in working in your company, right? Or like as a business partner, something like that, you know? So that's why I'm really focused on building my social media up. So yeah. I don't plan to do YouTube forever though, but yeah, you know, so far I don't actually have anything too concrete in terms of my post-university career aspirations. So yeah, next question. Can you do a whole video on what it's like living from home for uni? Okay, so I get a lot of these video requests, and video requests that are really, really specific, and I don't think, I wouldn't do those videos just because I know it wouldn't do too well. Because it's like, okay, what do you think it's like living at home? It's literally like any other uni student, but you commute to uni instead of, you know, like, yeah. So I don't think it's interesting enough of a topic. But one of my best friends, he actually does that, but his uni is quite exclusive, so his uni lifestyle isn't like the typical uni experience. But yeah, if he's down to come on a video, I'm more than happy to make a day in the life of him. So yeah, subscribe for that if you haven't already. Next question. What made you start YouTube, and why specifically giving tips on how to make money at uni? Okay, so this is a really interesting question. I'm super glad someone asked this, and literally so between the years of me being in year 7 to like 11, I had a lot of spare time and I was watching a lot of YouTube, and you know, it's just like the typical like kid. I'm just like, oh my god, these YouTubers are so cool, I want to be like them. And it's been in the back of my mind to start YouTube for so many years now, but I just never really pulled the trigger, and now I'm pulling the trigger. So yeah, that's why. But in terms of like giving money advice, the thing is, I had to find a niche that I liked, and at this moment in my life, the thing that I like the most is how to develop myself, add value to myself, and also make money. So yeah, I feel like making money at uni as a niche is just so aligned with my long-term goals that it just makes sense for me to give advice on that and help other people in a similar position, for example. I may change niches in the future, and I do hope that you guys would stay with me in terms of that, and I'll definitely make some interesting content for you guys. Deal? Sick. Next question. Do you have a bucket list, and if so, what's on it? My god, why are these questions about me dying all the time? But anyways, I don't have a bucket list. I just have like long-term goals that I really want to achieve, and if I achieve them, that's, I guess, my bucket list done. If I don't, fuck, you know, that means something in my life has gone wrong for that not to happen. But yeah, in terms of specific bucket lists like skydiving and stuff like that, I don't have a so-called bucket list. But yeah, next question. Top 5 places you want to travel to. Okay, so cool. Okay, I'm really bad at counting, so it's just, Iceland, Japan, the US, specifically West Coast. I've been to New York once. I've said Japan already, right? All over Asia. I know that's not really a country, but you know, I just want to travel throughout Asia, especially the southeast, and probably we'll throw Australia in there as well. I know they have some really nice beaches. Yeah. And next question. What was it like growing up in China versus the UK? Okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm so glad someone asked that question, because that's actually a topic I've been dying to speak on. But honestly, I think that video deserves a video in of itself, if that even makes sense. I don't even know if that's a saying. But yeah, I think that question deserves a video by itself, but let me briefly answer that question. So the difference is so big that it's just like society is fundamentally different in Asia in general as opposed to the West. So in Asia, it's all about like a collective mentality. Everything is about community, which is why, for example, like your family name is first before your individual name, before your first name, sorry. And it's because we're like a representation of our family straight away before anything else. Whereas in the West is always like, oh yeah, you can be this and you should do this for yourself and da-da-da. Like everything's so individual, but everything in the East is about like collectivism, like how can you benefit your community, how can you benefit your family, stuff like that. So I think that's where the fundamental difference lies. But in terms of like general overall experience, for example, student life in China is peak. Education from like, I guess, secondary school to like sixth form college is just disgusting. Like, honestly, it's so peak how hard they make you work. Whereas in the West is more like, oh, let's develop your creativity. Oh, you know, grades don't matter so much. It's about kindness, da-da-da. And it's like, oh, quite sheltered. So yeah, that will be a video in it of itself. So yeah, subscribe for that if you're interested, and go watch my China vlog if you want to get a glimpse of what life is actually like in China, because I take you kind of through where I grew up and the city I was spent the most time in, and you get to see where I used to live back in China all them years ago. So yeah, it's a really fascinating video. Links to that will be in the closed captions right there, I believe. So yeah, check that out. Next question. Favorite sports? Okay, cool. Favorite sport? This is an interesting one. My favorite sport is actually just combat sports in general. I don't really watch it, but it's just like, I love the idea of just fighting someone, because I mean, for me, that's like the purest form of sport, because where else in the animal kingdom do you see like, I don't know, two gorillas kicking a ball around and like for fun, right? That just doesn't happen anywhere else. But in every single like most animals that I know of, maybe I'm dumb, but they always like to fight for fun. Like kids, when they play around, like when they're roughhousing, they're always just pretend fighting essentially, right? So I think combat sports is my favorite, just because it's like the most OG of all sports, if that even is a thing. Okay, next question. Catered or self-catered accommodation? Okay, cool. So with this question, I think it really comes down to your needs. And looking back, for me personally, I should have probably went for the catered accommodation, because there's benefits for both. So in my personal opinion, catered probably would have given me the better experience, just because it's more social. Like, it's so much more social because everyone eats together, and I actually really like eating together with people. Like, that's something that my family does, and I really wish I did it with my friends a lot more. But yeah, and also it's a lot easier in terms of, if you don't know how to cook, just go into the canteen, grab some food, eat. But unfortunately, it is at fixed times, and apparently the canteen food tastes like crap. But I mean, if you don't know how to cook and you make crap anyways, what's the difference, right? Versus self-catered, you do have the freedom of eating whenever, whatever you want. But the downside of that is you have to wash up, you have to cook, you have to shop for groceries. It's just a bit long, to be honest. But yeah, it's just like whichever one you prefer, go for it. Looking back, I actually probably recommend you go for catered as opposed to self-catered, just for the social aspect of it. But yeah, next question. What are your sustainable sources of income? Right now, I actually have zero income that comes into my account frequently. Whenever I want to make money, I literally just like take a day and just go make money. And normally I can end up with like between 100 to 300 pounds, somewhere along those lines. And if you watched my last week's video, you'll realize like why I don't care about making money at the moment, because I know even if I went homeless, I could literally just pick myself back up in a week. And you'll see why if you go watch the homeless project, which is going to be linked right here. Highly entertaining video, by the way. If you want to watch that, I really do recommend it. It's super interesting, and it's never been done before. So yeah, click the link here and go watch that shit. It's really fun. But thank you guys so much for staying with me till the end of my Q&A, and thank you so much for the people that ask questions. Next week's video will be something really interesting. Now, follow along for that, but also I'm doing a 1,000 subscriber special where I'm taking 10 to 12 people out for dinner. Of course, I pay for the dinner. It's going to be sometime in October, and it's going to be in Nottingham. So if you want to check that out and get involved with that, DM me on my Instagram. It's in the description below, or email me if you don't use Instagram for some weird reason. So yeah, if you want to join, there's a few spaces left. I highly recommend it. Make a few new friends. The whole goal of that is literally for me to get to know you guys a bit more, and also if you're like a fresher, get you guys to have essentially 10 new friends by the end of the session. We're gonna go for dinner, which is gonna be paid by me, and then we're gonna go for some drinks, which I won't pay for because that shit is expensive. But yeah, have a good day guys and a good week, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.